Welcome to Coach Chloe, the journey of self love, and we are at episode 18. It's not believable just how time has flown. Today is part three of How to Hack Your Thoughts. And in the studio with us, I have somebody that is deep in my heart that I am so connected to. There's an old saying that goes, some people come into your life for a reason, some people come into your life for a season, and some for a lifetime. This is that lifetime person. This wonderful, amazing human being is for my lifetime. His heart is extravagant with compassion. He's outrageously large with love. He's a one in a million kind of coach, a human, a friend. And one of the amazing things about Steve is that his unique creative soul is so huge with big ideas and big heart and always taking big complicated concepts and making it as simple as possible. So that's what he's going to bring today, and I'm excited for you to hear him. So don't go away. We will be right back. Welcome back. And again, like I said, we have Steve Tulowitzki with us today in the studio. Welcome, Steve.
Hi, Chloe.
Hi, it's so good to see you.
And it is good to be seen. It's wonderful to see you. And everyone in their life should have a chance to be introduced like that, to be seen like that by you at some point in their life. How brilliant.
Well, you are my inspiration. You know that. My dearest, dearest friend, you my brother, you my US brother. You know so much about me. We know so much about each other. We've been there for each other in support, always sharing ideas. I know how we both love to share ideas because we're both so creative. So before we get started, what would you like the people listening to know about you?
Yeah. As a coach, I do like to say that questions are the currency of coaching. And Chloe, I'm wondering what's something you're curious about me? You said how long we've known each other, and just in this moment, what's something you'd like to know about me?
Well, let me think about it. Is there anything unique, any mnemonic that you have come up with recently? Now you're smiling.
Yes. So I have, yeah, I love that. I love equations. I used to be a mechanical engineer. Maybe that's interesting to start. I was a mechanical engineer. I studied abroad in Spain. I learned to speak Spanish and love Europe. So I became a consultant so that I could move to Europe. It took me 7 years. I ended up in Amsterdam, lived there for 11, almost 10 years. And that's part of my backstory. And as I became a coach, these equations wouldn't leave me. So I have two equations right now. Which one would you most like to hear? The success equation or the authenticity equation?
Let's go with authenticity since we are hacking our thoughts and we're trying to
Hmm.
get to our most authentic self.
Okay. This is only a few people have heard this.
I cannot
So
wait.
we're going live with it now. Authenticity equals generosity divided by consumption.
Generosity divided by consumption. Say more about that.
I mean, the simple version could be give divided by take, but I think there's more elegance in generosity because you need to know what someone else needs. You need to know what's in their heart. You need to know what sort of action from you or behavior or offering would be generous because it takes them into consideration. So the more generous you are, you know what? this is the usefulness equation. I just realized this is the usefulness equation. So usefulness equals generosity divided by consumption. So when you're generous and you're giving something that they need to someone else, that's very useful. But if you're consuming more than you're taking, if that ratio goes below 1, then maybe it's become more about you. Maybe the usefulness of what you're creating in that moment is less than 1. So that's the usefulness equation. The generosity, since I mentioned it, the authenticity equation is purpose divided by attachment.
Which is also great. But before I'd love for us to go there in a moment. But let's stay with the usefulness, because it's something that I heard you say. You said you need to know what the other person needs or what's useful. How do we step outside of what we think someone else needs and really, really tap into what they need?
Yeah, it is where the equation I meant to share comes in. Authenticity is purpose divided by attachment. So the denominator is really key. If you're attached to something, you're not being authentic. If a certain outcome has to come, if a person needs to think a certain way about you, if they need to react and stand up and applaud or invite you on their podcast, if that's why you're doing these things, it's inauthentic. And if you're inauthentic, not being true, you're not being true in the relationship, and you really have a difficult time tuning into what other people need.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, and again, now you're grabbing me here in this conversation. This is what we do all the time for hours and hours.
For way too long. Indeed.
Yeah, for way too long. But I want to ask you this. How do you stay authentic when there's so much of noise going in our heads of what we think the other person is saying or feeling or what they need? And that's also another filter is we're looking at it from our needs. We think we know what others need.
I know the name of the episode is Hack Your Thoughts.
Yes.
One of the most reliable hacks that I have for my thoughts, I don't know if it's surprising or not, but I've been doing it for 6 years or so now since I was trained up in the energy project. I go for a walk. And while I'm walking, I'm usually talking. So when I have my clients, most of my clients, unless it's too hot, too cold, raining, you'll find me walking around the city, talking to them through neighborhoods. There's some way that being with nature, being with outside, being with other stimulus, at least for me, I have a bit of an ADHD creative brain, likes to focus on a lot of things. When I'm moving, it tends to still my thoughts and bring me more into the present moment.
I like that. When you are moving, it tends to still your thoughts. I like that. When you are moving, it tends to still your thoughts.
Especially still the distractions, the distractions.
Okay. Yeah. So moving stills distractions. For Steve.
I have a friend, Ann Betts, who has done a lot of study on the brain, and it's part of what, at least if I remember how she said it, she calls integration. When you're walking, you're using your motor cortex. You're using different parts of your brain, and it becomes more senses altogether, and this sort of integrates and brings you more present into the moment.
So from that, right from there, let's get into our the questions that we have, and that I've been asking everybody that's come on the same set of questions. When silence is golden, what are you saying to yourself?
There's a lot of sayings and phrases that help me. And probably what I'm saying when I'm at my best, because sometimes who knows what's going on. But when I'm at my best, I'm probably reminding myself to let silence do the heavy lifting. Silence is generous when you're in coaching, when you're in relationship. To give someone time to really think and connect with themselves and their values and find a new answer they haven't found before, that takes time. So in my own mind, I might be reminding myself silence is golden. Not to get nervous, not to need to fill it with some noise or some
Mm.
thought or equation or some other creative thing, but just to give them the space, and sometimes myself the space, for something new to be born.
I want to come back to something that you said, reminding yourself that to let silence do the heavy lifting. And
Yes.
as you said that, I thought about the weight of silence. If we can rest in the weight, then we are able to feel light.
Mm.
But silence is a weight. It feels like nothing, and yet it's weighty.
The image I get is a pulley. So there's this heavy silence, and if you let it stay there, it does its work of lifting the other person up, or the thought
Yeah,
that needs to be.
beautiful. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Steve, that is you. That is when I say that is you, that's your imagery, your mnemonics. I always there's always imagery. I know when we talk, it's never without imagery. So I can't wait to hear what else you have to say here. So when silence is deafening,
Mm.
what are you saying to yourself? What's going on?
I I probably start hearing a familiar voice. I have given him a name. It's Stigo, and that's what the name I had to give my ego, so that I knew when it was that voice and not the voice of God or the pure voice, my authentic self who's talking. So the first thing I might hear when silence is deafening is a lot of those egoic voices. Stigo
Mm,
saying, um, "You're in trouble. You don't know the answer. You're all alone." It might be saying some things like that. And one of the most useful concepts that I've ever come across, especially for moments like that, and there's a longer parable or allegory that I can share. It's not mine, but it's meant a lot to me. The moral of that story is good thing, bad thing, who knows?
mhm. Yeah.
No matter what's going on, I might find myself hearing Stigo say, "This is great" or "This is horrible,"
Yeah.
and I can remind myself that I don't really know, because so many times great things have turned out to not be great, and ungreat things have turned out to be just what I needed,
Mm,
to get ahead or to go where I needed to go in my life. So when I start to hear the saboteurs or the negative emotions come up and those unhelpful thoughts, I can remind myself, good thing, bad thing, who knows, and then we'll just see.
yeah. You know, something that I've learned in this journey with the podcasts and how to hack your thoughts and self-love and the power of self-talk. One of the things that I've learned and that has transformed me in this journey in 2024
Mm-hmm.
is being able to say, I am complete.
Mm.
I am complete. Because when I'm complete, the what I don't know, the how I feel, is not important anymore because I'm complete and I'm whole just the way I am. I sit with whatever that is and I'm at peace. Whether it is good thing, bad thing, I sit and I'm okay at peace. I'm whole. I'm complete. And that's how one of the ways I've been able to act my thoughts. Now, I usually don't share how I act my thoughts on these interviews, but with you, it's a natural thing for me to just share that.
Well, I appreciate it. I mean, one of my deep secrets, and that I share with everyone I can, is some of the best approaches I have to coaching and leadership, relationships, have been things that you shared with me, or I got you to share with me somehow. You're just magic in all the things that you create. They just work, and they're simple. You can remember them.
Mm.
So thank you.
Keeping it simple. Keeping it simple.
I'm complete.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So, what are negative thoughts that go through your mind when there is noise?
Um, I did watch Julie, your last, I think that was
Okay.
the last one I saw, anyways, Hacking Your
Mm.
Thoughts. And she referred to positive intelligence at some point.
Yes.
I have found this, Shirzad's work, positive intelligence, and the free saboteur assessment. I share it with my clients. I've taken it myself. So through that, I've understood what my top saboteurs are. It's the victim and the avoider. I'm being
Okay.
vulnerable, right? I'm sharing my
Yes.
secrets out there. So those are the voices that come up, and I'm even hearing them now. Can you repeat the question? What was I want to make sure I'm answering the right question.
So, what are negative thoughts that go through your mind? So,
Oh yeah,
you answering the question. You're answering it very well.
I just forgot what it was.
Exactly.
Yeah, the victim is really strong in me, anyways, and it is sort of like they don't get me, they don't understand me, they don't like me. They're out to get me somehow, and I'm out of authority. I can't, and there's nothing I can do about it.
Mm.
And then the avoider is right there behind it to say, well, don't bother, you can do it later. This other thing looks like more fun, more useful.
Mm.
And so, you know, those are unhelpful thoughts, but good thing, bad thing, who knows? I've learned a lot from leaning into that and maybe making bad choices from it, from listening to the victim, listening to the avoider. But sometimes you also get lucky. The thing
Mm.
that you didn't attend to, something better came up. So I think there's a little bit of that. I'm complete with you of how to
Yeah.
get
Yeah.
out of that.
Mm.
Yes.
Which comes to my next question. How do you hack your thoughts when thinking victim or avoider?
Sometimes having a coaching session is a big help, right? Where I'm the coach, or you coach me often. I have other people that I go to for coaching. For me, talking to someone really helps hack my thoughts, turn them around. And sometimes it's what they're saying, but a lot of times it's just having a place to speak aloud. I tend to process.
Mm.
I don't know what I'm thinking until I've said it.
Yes. I
Yeah.
say that again.
I
I
don't
don't.
know what I'm thinking until I've said it aloud, almost
Magic.
necessarily to someone else who
That,
hears it.
yeah. I don't know what I'm thinking until I've said it aloud. Now, some people are more aware, some people are less aware. I don't know what I'm thinking of until I've said it aloud, and they still cannot hear themselves.
Hmm.
Now, you can. And there's some people that just, cannot. It's tough for them.
It's been a long journey,
Yeah.
a long journey to arrive at the oasis where I can hear myself.
Mhm. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot here. You're a coach, so let me put you on the spot. I don't know what I'm thinking until I hear myself out loud, right?
Mhm.
What do you think some people, even when they speak out loud, they cannot hear? What is a, advice or a hack that you can share? Something simple that comes to mind.
Get a coach. Simple, like get a coach, and you don't have to pay for a coach. Find that. One of the things I love about coaching is when people go through it and they get trained and they have that first session or first conversation in training. It feels familiar. It's like I've had a great conversation in my life before. This just feels right, and I want to do more of it, and that's why we continue.
Mhm.
So, a person in your life with whom you have great conversations, um, seek that person out, or if you can't think of them, go find them somewhere, because through them and the feedback they give you, and if you really like someone, you're going to really listen to them. You
Mm,
manage to see yourself through their eyes.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Somebody that is truthful, somebody that's honest, somebody you can hear speak the truth. And because that's what coaches do. So you that's great advice. Get a coach, or find some discovery session somewhere where you can just a 15-minute conversation is better than nothing at all.
I think Regis Philbin would might say phone a friend
Yeah,
who wants to be a millionaire show.
I like that.
And
Phone a
then, there's if you can find a friend, there is this concept. I think it's from the Prosperous Coach, the book. They call it light post coaching or lamp post coaching.
uh-huh.
The idea is, someone is working the whole day, working really hard, and they go out at the end of the day on their way to the car. Let's assume they commute, and they stop at a lamppost in the parking lot before they get to their car, and they just tell the lamppost about their day
Hmm.
and what's on their mind. And that lamppost would be a tremendous coach over day after day, sharing all of these thoughts. They would start
Yeah.
to see what's really going on with them and start to make some positive changes in their life and good decisions and start to get things better, even though it's an inanimate object.
Mm.
So I think for me, I do believe that it's that the act of speaking aloud your truth helps you see what you believe and helps you just see what's going on with you, even
Mhm.
more than just what you're thinking, what's really going on with you.
Mhm. And with the 60 to 80,000 thoughts that run through our mind all day long, most of those thoughts are repetitive. So if we are speaking it out loud over and over and over again, guess what? We are bound to start hearing it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So everybody listening, phone a friend that's honest and non-judgmental, or find a lamppost
Find a lamppost, just put a
and
coach sticker
start.
on it,
Yes.
and pay yourself for those things.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love that. I mean, I catch myself talking to myself all the time. I don't have a lamppost, but I have to talk it out. In my home, it's safe, and Jethro will say, "Okay, Mom, I can hear you talking there," or
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I know you've written, there's a lot of ways to talk. Not everyone's the same. I know you've written a beautiful book. You're probably working on others, So that's also talking to someone else, writing a blog post, making a video of yourself, leaving a voicemail to someone. This is just getting it out, getting your music outside so that you can hear it.
I love that. I
Good.
love that. Yeah, I love that. Have you experienced a time when you had to hack positive thoughts?
Oh, I like this. Good thing, bad thing, who knows? It happens all the time. Be careful what you wish for because you might get it. Um, yeah, Stego is a tricky guy. Everyone has their Stego, I think, and can start to get inflated and
Yeah.
have the wrong idea about my powers or that I'm on a roll. Um, so keeping in mind, also in the good times, that's where the phrase starts. Good thing, bad thing, who knows?
Mhm.
Yeah, that really helps, I think, keep me grounded. And the benefit of that probably is I'll go and spend some time with my kids.
Mm.
If I get too lost in all these good things are happening, I'll just keep focused on myself or my career or something like that. And so I need to stay humble so I stay present with the people in my life.
Humble. And when all good things continue to happen and they're just gushing out, it's very easy to get for our ego. It fuels our ego. It
Yeah, and I
fuels.
believe like this mindset of good thing, bad thing, who knows? Or I think Tom Brady says maybe,
Yeah.
to put it down to one word. It allows you to keep receiving good things
Mhm.
because it doesn't change you. It doesn't change what you do. Isn't making you make different decisions or buying new things or whatever it is. It allows you to stay on a roll, I think, because you're coming back to the denominator in the equation. You're not attached.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah. And be humble. Maybe. Okay. So can you think about a positive thought that you didn't have to hack, and the reason you hacked that thought? How did that serve you?
A positive thought that I did or didn't have
That
to have.
you did.
Oh, that I didn't.
Positive thought, something positive that you did have to hack. You had to stop it, otherwise. You're going down a rabbit hole.
I could say this when over the past 5 years, there have been a lot of things that I was going for. Um, I was I went for a position to become a fellow in a racial equity group. I went for a position as a senior executive coach with Amazon. I went for a few positions like that, and the conversations were all going really well. And the positive thought was, I'm going to get it. Right? This is the change that's going to happen, and there are more things like that. Even a certain type of coaching or program I wanted to launch. Like, this is going to happen. I think that's the positive thought. It sounds positive, anyways. And it can really take over, and the devastation that can come when it doesn't come true. That is the happiness equation. Happiness equals reality minus expectations. So
Yeah.
in a way, these positive thoughts might just be very high expectations, which might just be unrealistic, which can make you quite vulnerable to
Yes.
emotional damage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very, very well said, Steve. Very well said. Um, so, what is something that you would like to share with those listening to this podcast on how to hack their thoughts?
I would say it's worth it. Who knows how it's going to work for you? But even if you, right now, maybe you would say, let me think back on a peak experience, something when things were really great in my life, and think back on a really bad experience, some negative thing that happened to you. And now, with the passage of time, I think they say tragedy plus time equals comedy. You have a different viewpoint now. So look back and examine your thoughts. What happened in that positive time? What were you thinking? Was it useful? Did it serve you? What happened in that negative time? What were you thinking? Was it useful? Did it serve you? And I bet there's with that last question, did it serve you? I bet there's an overlap in the Venn diagram of like, these are useful approaches. These are useful things to think.
Mm-hmm.
Probably more things outside of that Venn diagram overlap
Yeah.
that are unhelpful or unuseful thoughts. And what can be better than knowing the recurring thoughts that pull you off track?
That's true. Yeah. And when you said Venn diagram, I just thought about the power of writing things down. And I know you don't only write, you draw. I know that about you. So even being able, what kind of a visual, if the person's visual, they need words or images, whatever works for them, to just write it down.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Or diagram. I probably diagram more than draw. It's not.
Yeah. Yes. Yes.
It's not
Diagram.
hanging in the museum in
Yeah,
MoMA.
yeah, yeah. Well, diagram, that is true. I've seen tons of your diagrams, and you've texted me tons of your diagrams too. I know you take pictures and you send it, and I'm always inspired. I mean, I'm always inspired by just your insights, your deep wisdom, your unique way of thinking, because I haven't met another coach that thinks like you. I just want you to know that. And I want to acknowledge that because you are so unique. There's no other Steve that I know of. Um,
Thank you.
okay, so
Here's a thought hack when someone says something beautiful like that for you, and I have my people in my participants in programs I do and things like that. Respond to a compliment like this: "Thank you, I deserve that."
I love that, because very often we think we don't deserve it, or we question, is it true?
Right.
Is it true? That's a negative hack.
And I would people laugh when they say it because it's so awkward. It's so unusual to say thank you, I deserve that, and
Yeah.
and right after the laugh comes the realization that it's true.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
I am complete. I am complete. Yeah. Okay, Steve, it's been so amazing. I love our conversation. Is there a quote that comes to mind that you'd like to share with everybody?
I think we have addressed the power of awareness in the conversation today, and this is a quote, probably my all-time favorite quote from Thich Nhat Hanh. I recently
Mhm.
transitioned or passed Vietnamese monk. And he says that awareness is like the sun. When it shines on things, they are transformed. Awareness is like the sun. When it shines on things, they're transformed.
I love that. Awareness is like the sun. When it shines on things, they are transformed.
If it's an ice cube, if it's a seed, if it's a sunflower, no matter what it is, they can't help but be transformed by the sun. So as we generate our own awareness, we can shine it on things and they will change
Mhm.
on
So,
purpose.
yeah. Steve, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on the show, for sharing your wisdom with all of us. And everybody out there, find the sun.
Mm.
Find the sun in your life so that when that thing shines on anything in life, you are transformed. And like I always end our shows, your story is changing. You are the storyteller of your story. Your story are your thoughts. Your thoughts are your self talk. And it's who you are becoming. Those are your thoughts. What you tell your brain is what your brain remembers. And here's what really matters: who you're becoming is greater than who you were before this moment. So, if you like what you've been hearing, please go ahead and click like or drop your thoughts in the chat, or maybe share a way that you hack your thoughts for all of us to learn from you. Coming up next week, we have another great, exciting guest who will share how they hack their thoughts. Remember, powerful declarations are inside of you, waiting to be manifested. Take care, everybody. See you next week.